Well, Jim, first of all, welcome back to St Mirren. How does it feel to be back here as manager?
It's brilliant to be back, Jim. Obviously got the phone call last week, and delighted to go and meet with the board of directors and Gus and discuss their plans for the club. And obviously ticked all the boxes. Everybody knows my affiliation with the club, and how much I loved my time here. So it was a no-brainer once we got things sorted out on the contract side of things and everything else. It was pretty straightforward, and I'm just absolutely over the moon now to be here.
You've mentioned that there, obviously a St Mirren Hall of Famer, League Cup winning captain as well. Is that what really kind of drew you to this job?
Well, I always said when I left the club that I would love to come back one day as manager, and I went away obviously to Alloa to play initially, and then obviously Jack Ross left pretty soon after the season had started, so that job probably came a little bit sooner than I had anticipated. But it was always my ambition to get back here, and I know that's what people will probably expect me to say, and but I can't honestly explain to people how hard I was trying to make this one work, and I know the job had came up on a couple of occasions in the last couple of seasons, and I did speak to the club on one occasion, but I just felt that the timing of the whole thing wasn't right. I was never offered a job at that time, but I just felt that I wasn't ready really, and I didn't think that the timing from the club's perspective was right either. So once I got the call this time round, I was just desperate to make it happen, and I didn't want anything to go awry this time. And thankfully the club were great to deal with, and we managed to get it all done pretty smoothly in the end.
It was quite a whirlwind couple of days for you. How pleased are you now to be over here in Mercia with the team, and this morning have your first training session with them?
Well, the last week was whirlwind, I think, is a good word to use to describe it. This time last week I was driving a white van around Stranraer delivering parcels, and preparing Alloa on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, and then today I'm here as manager of St Mirren, back in the full-time game, and great surroundings here. The club have pulled out all the stops. I think Gus and Tony have found a fantastic location for us to train, great facilities, great weather. So the club have invested a lot in this, and it's a great week for me actually, I think, to be able to come in and meet the players, because when you're away on camp you spend a lot more time with people throughout the day, and you get to know each other better. So this gives me the opportunity to get my ideas across to the players, and obviously spend some downtime with them as well in the afternoons, and just get to pick their brains and get to know them more as people as well.
How nice was it to be back out on the pitch today for the first time?
It was brilliant, and I know a lot of the players from previously as well. Obviously there's some ex-teammates of mine there, Jack Baird, Paul McGinn was here on trial when I was here, and obviously Langers is there as goalkeeping coach, he's first choice goalkeeper when I was here. So there's a lot of familiar faces. I know sometimes it can be a little bit awkward for some of them maybe initially, because I was a teammate of theirs and now I'm coming back as manager, but I have to say everybody has been very welcoming. We had a good meeting with the players last night, and that training session today actually really gave me a great lift, because there's some great players there, some really good core of the group to work with. We know we have to add players to it. The recruitment side of things is the most important side of any manager's job, and we are working tirelessly behind the scenes, myself, Gus, Tony and the chairman, to try and get the right people in, and I think that's the most important thing, that we get the right types of characters in and we get some stability back in the club.
Yeah, you talk about kind of there is the core there, the core that kept us up, and want to add to the team. Have you got an idea of kind of where you want to add, and maybe without mentioning names, do you have names in mind? Yeah, we've got a list the length of my arm in terms of names, and in terms of players that we've already identified. It's trying to make it work now and trying to get them into the building, but we're looking for players in every position, honestly, and that's not to replace any of the current players that are already here. It's to get that bit of competition for places. I don't want any player in their comfort zone thinking that they're guaranteed a place in the team every week. It's not healthy. I need guys breathing down each other's necks, and if somebody has a bad couple of games, then they know that there's somebody waiting in the wings that's just as good to take their place in the team, and that only makes us more successful in the long run. Something you've obviously mentioned was the fact that when you took over Alloa, you actually took over from Jack Ross. He obviously had a successful spell here as manager.
Yeah.
Did you speak to him before you kind of took this role?
I have regular contact with Jacko anyway. You know, Jack was at Hamilton when I was there a long time ago. He was obviously the PFA rep, so I had good dialogue with Jack prior to going to Alloa anyway. To work with him there was great, and then we've just kept in touch ever since. Delighted to see the success that Jack had here, obviously, and then he's decided to go down to Sunderland. He was unlucky last season, but he's a good one for me to be able to speak to and to bounce ideas off. Obviously, he's been here already and he knows how the club works and how the club runs behind the scenes. So yeah, you know, Jack's a great guy, and if I can be as successful as Jack was here in his time, then that'll be fantastic.
Your appointment certainly captured the imagination of the fans. How happy are you to be back managing for them?
Well, listen, you know, my relationship with the punters here has been fantastic. In the 5.5 years I was here as a player, they stuck with me and stuck with the team, and obviously we enjoyed that fantastic moment in 2013 when we had the League Cup success. But you know, I think the fans deserve so much credit for the team being able to actually stay in the league, you know, this last season. And I spoke to the players briefly about that last night. You know, a lot of the players that are here worked ever so hard to keep the league in the to keep the club in the Premier League, but the fans had a huge part to play in that. You know, I was in Portugal on holiday when the playoffs were taking place, and we watched the games, and you know, I think the fans on that particular day just really drove the players on, and that's what I want from them this season. You know, right from day one, from that first Betfred game, we need them big time. And in fairness to the fans here, one thing they do, they always get behind the team, and the atmosphere in that Dundee United game was brilliant. You know, the players looked dead on their feet at times, but the fans really drove them on and played a huge part, and they can be proud of their efforts last year as well. Now it's up to me to put a team on the park that they can be proud of, and that's what we're going to try and do in the next few weeks.
Those Dundee United playoff games, the one at home was the first sellout at that stadium since we moved in over 10 years ago. Does that give you heart coming into the job that the supporters are so engaged at the moment?
Well, listen, the fans are there. We know that. You know, we go back to 2013 again, and I don't want to keep speaking about it, but it was, you know, I think we took 20,000 fans to Hampden. You know, so the fans are out there. It's just up to us as a club, as you say there. The right word is engagement. You know, there can't be any division in the camps in the actual club itself. You know, directors down to me as the manager, the players down into the community, into the academy. We all need to be in one line, as do the fans need to be a part of that. You know, and I think the club, I think Tony and I think Gordon have worked hard on that behind the scenes. You know, and the club have always been brilliant in the community. You know, they've won awards down through the years when I was there, and they continue to do it now. So, you know, the people of Paisley are a big part of St Mirren Football Club, and the fact that they were managed to come out and get behind the team, and they knew the importance of staying in the Premier League, was brilliant. And let's hope that we can get, you know, even more season ticket sales this year and get more people in the stadium to get behind the players to make it another successful season.
And just finally, what are your sort of aims and ambitions, short term and long term?
Well, I think there's been, you know, I think everybody will agree there's been too much change in recent years. I think, you know, it's important for me to come in now and stabilise the club. It's as simple as that. The recruitment side of things, as I touched on earlier, is massive. You know, the loan market is great, but I don't want to solely focus on the loan market. I think we need to get good permanent signings in the building as well and try and build on something here, and that's what I want. I don't want to be signing 7-8 loan guys every 6 months and then they go back to their parent clubs and then we do it all again. I really want to be here. I've signed a 3-year contract and I want to try and build something that's going to be long lasting. It's as simple as that. In terms of aims and targets for the season, we would love to have a good cup run. You know, the Betfred is the first competition that's upon us in a couple of weeks' time. We want to go far in that. Obviously the league is the main priority for everyone. You know, we want to avoid playoffs, absolutely, at that end of the league. But you know, I'm not going to put a position on it. But I think if we can get the right players that we have identified so far, if we can get those guys in the building, then there's no reason why we can't start looking up above rather than looking over our shoulder.
Jim, all the best and thanks very much.
Thanks, James.